Good evening. Would like to call to order the August 2nd, 2022 Little Rock City Board of Directors meeting. We'd like to take this time to welcome those in attendance as well as those watching at home or streaming online. Take also the time to recognize City Director B.J. Wyrick, as well as actually just City Director B.J. Wyrick, who's joined us from, I thought you were. Last week you were at home, so I thought you were at home again. I apologize. I do apologize. You like the welcome? All right. Before we get started, I want to take this time. We had a lot of great news that has happened on the past few weeks in many different wards. I know just today, City Director Virgil Miller, we were able to do a groundbreaking ceremony for Swaggerty Branch in the South End Neighborhood which is a part of their South End Neighborhood Action Plan, which was presented to the City Board of Directors a few months ago. And we were able to leverage some American Rescue Plan Act dollars, existing city dollars, to put forward $2 million plus as it relates to drainage improvements to an area the city has not historically has had some issues with drainage and flooding. And so we are very grateful that we were able to get that done in Ward 1, City Director Miller, as well as I know City Director Doris Wright. I want to welcome you. She's tuning in from home today. City Director Doris Wright, and as we also know, and City Director Antoine Phillips and Webb and Peck and Wyrick and Adcock and Director Richardson and Director Hines. One of the things that we know also, Canis Park, historically we know that the Arkansas Department of Transportation took up those basketball courts, and we were able to find funding for that and bring that back, and recently had a groundbreaking ceremony with that as well. All the things that are going on with jobs, even today, we know Topgolf announced their location officially as well. Just want to talk about all the good things that are going on in our city that starts right here with the city board as we all are working together to move forward to make these intentional decisions as it relates to infrastructure improvements across the entire city. So really wanted to start there today. Madam Clerk, if you would, please call the roll.
Director Miller.
Here.
Director Richardson.
Here.
Director Webb.
Here.
Director Peck.
Here.
Director Wright. Director Wyrick.
Present.
Director Wright is here.
Director Compuris. Director Phillips.
Present.
Director Adcock. Present. Vice Mayor Hines.
Present.
Mayor Scott.
Present. Let me now take this time to recognize City Director Doris Wright, who will give our invocation.
Please bow your heads, please. Most gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for the privilege and opportunity to serve the people of Little Rock as a body. We pray for our frontline employees, our police officers, our firemen, our garbage workers, everyone who's on the front line taking care of our city. We lift them up to you and pray that your grace and your mercy will be with them. We pray for each member of the board of directors as we enter in to this body tonight to do the people's business, that we keep the residents uppermost in our mind and what their needs are and how we as a body of elected officials can best serve their needs. We give you praise, we give you glory, we give you honor. In Christ's name I pray, amen.
Amen. May you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We have two modifications for tonight's agenda. Item 3 is being deferred until August the 16th at the applicant's request. Item 6 is being deferred until August the 16th at staff's request.
So moved. Mayor, before they take the vote, there's also a hearing on the abandonment of a right-of-way tonight, and just before the meeting, we received a call that is requested that be deferred at the applicant's request until the second meeting in September.
Which item is that?
I'm looking for Mr. Collins.
Number 9.
9.
We'll also add to this call item 3, 6, and 9, all to be deferred at either the applicant or staff request. Is there a motion?
So moved.
There's a second.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read the consent agenda.
Mayor,
Director Wyrick.
I had my hand up. I don't think.
Sorry.
That's okay. No problem. Item 2, this may be a little premature, but I wanted to address it before we get there. Do you have any cards on item 2?
Yes.
Okay. So it's on the grouped items, so we'll need to pull that off, right?
We can discuss it, yes. It's not on the consent agenda, but so we can definitely go to it.
But it's in the grouped items. It's not a separate item. So I guess,
Are you wanting to separate it?
yes, sir. Yes,
All
sir.
right, well,
Please.
I can't remember parliamentarians that take a motion to separate during the,
Usually if a member is asked that something be separate, it's just separate.
all right, we'll separate.
Plus, we have cards on it, so, okay. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, I have my hand up.
Yes, Director Wright.
The agenda that I'm looking at online still says July 26, 22 agenda meeting, 4 o'clock to set the agenda for August 2nd. Has this been updated?
Yes, ma'am. If you'll refresh your screen.
I did that and it came back the same way.
Miss Ashley's going to send it to you.
Okay.
All right. Madam Clerk, you'll read the consent agenda.
A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into an agreement with Baptist Health, Occupational Health to provide pre-employment screenings, random drug or alcohol testing, and post-accident drug or alcohol testing, and for other purposes.
Move for the adoption of the consent agenda.
Second.
There's a motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. We'll now go into citizens' communication. We'll start with Miss Ashley Williams. Well, now, as Miss Ashley Williams.
Okay, so 2.
Miss Ashley Williams.
Hello, everyone. Excuse me if I stumble. This is my first time at a city council meeting speaking in front of lots of people publicly. But,
Can you speak into the mic a little bit more clearly, please?
okay.
We can hear you. Thank you.
Sorry. I'm actually here for more than one purpose, so I don't know how that works. This is our first time at a city council meeting. Do I
Well,
speak
so-
on both of them or just one of them?
Just one, and let's hold the time, just want to make sure she's aware, since it's our first time. So ma'am, when we have citizens communication, you can speak on whatever you would like to speak on within an allotted 3 minutes, and then we go to the next resident who may have something to speak as well. And so since you signed the card,
Twice. I have 2 cards.
you have 2 cards.
Yes.
You can only go once, one for you, within that allotted 3 times. But if there's someone else that's already signed that's going to maybe speak in the same
It's for
topic, we have a lot of cards today, so I'm pretty
okay.
sure we'll get to a lot of different topics.
Okay.
So I know you weren't aware at that time. So Allie, if you'll just restart the clock, so now she's aware.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm here on the behalf of the Sunset Tiger Program as a parent and a parent volunteer. My son joined the Sunset Tiger football program, youth football program, and I quickly realized that the program has been neglected, and the park that the program It's a great program. It's been around for 50+ years now, and it needs a lot of repairs. My understanding was that it was being maintenanced by the city. It's been neglected, and the children of the program and the residents of that community, basically, when it all flows over, has been neglected. We're asking that that much needed repairs are done. It's a little disheartening, and it shows the pride and consideration that the city has for its youth. And its youth are predominantly the Little Rock School District, the school district that is named after the city. And I feel that with its history, nationally and internationally, it should be taken better care of. It needs the funding, and it needs to be repaired. And it's been going on for a while, pretty much 2005. So we would like to see this funding and these repairs done, or at least started before this year is up, because it's gone for so long, and we would appreciate that. We all pay taxes here, and we would like to see, especially the residents, the people of this community, of that community of Sunset, South End, would like to see where their money is going, their community, and their youth program that has been around for 50+ years, as I said. It's in disrepair. I mean, it's almost in disrepair, and it needs to be repaired and brought back up to its former state. And it's a hazard. The playground equipment is a hazard. There's a lot of hazards out there that need to be fixed and resolved. And we would like that done before the year is up.
Yes, ma'am. We'll now go to Ms. Belver Nelson.
Mayor, while Ms. Nelson is making her way, can I acknowledge the presence of Coach Ed Johnson? He's been doing this for over 51 years. He's an institution in that part of the community. And he once coached Keith Jackson, an opponent of mine, that when he played at Parkview, because he couldn't get accepted into Central, he had to get accepted into Central. And he played at Parkview, and he went on, of course, to play at Oklahoma and played with the Eagles and Green Bay and I think Miami. But Coach Johnson is here. I want to acknowledge him. He's an institution. He's been doing this for 51 years.
Let's give him a round of applause.
And to add to that, Mayor, he's been doing this for the most part out of his own pockets, and really, he himself is an institution in the South End part of our city.
Totally agree. I didn't see him walk in just there, and now I see him, and we're so grateful for his many years of leadership. I heard the slight dig between Central and Parkview, City Director Richardson, but I will say that I'm a former Raider, and the Sunset Tigers always kind of beat up on us a little bit. And I'm proud to say that we went up against those Sunset Tigers, but understand the legend that we're among right now, and Coach Ed Johnson. So just thank you again, and we're so grateful for your tireless leadership, Coach Johnson. Ms. Nelson.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And this is a rare occasion for me because usually I'm speaking and helping someone else. Now, I need to help myself, and I need the consideration, compassionate consideration from my city. And do I have a limit time? How much? 3 minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, my good.
Just take your time. Just take your time.
Thank you. I'll take my mask off. My challenge is my house has been condemned. But I'm thinking, and I truly believe, the entire structure doesn't have to come down. It was an old house, 36 by 34, and 8 or so years ago, we added to the south side to make it like an L, 20 by 32. And I'm in agreement with demolishing the north side house part, but I really would like to save the south side, because if my house is completely gone, that means I'm homeless. I'm a little too old, I think, to be homeless. I'm so close to 90, I can touch it. It's right up there. And since my husband passed away, that's one of the things that's kind of held me back. I only have one income in the house. And the one income, I could support that 32 by 20, and I'd be satisfied if the city would allow me to do that. I've had a conversation with 2 reputable contractors, and they said they would help me with a plan to board off when the bad part is taken down, to wall off the new part, and I could still have living quarters. So the difference is being homeless or being able to have a place called home. And we did put a lot of money in that not so long ago. And it is more solid than a lot of houses around town. But it's just about my house now. And I've been in that community working for others since 1960. And my mom was born in that community. And it means a lot to me and others. The community is a historical community. And we are fighting to save it. And when you get rid of one house at a time, you're destroying the community. And I would like to see, as the lady lifted up in the prayer, Ms. Wright, I'd like to see the citizens be considered a lot more. And I see quite a few faces around here. Now, Director Peck has helped me quite a bit, and Director Richardson, I know him, and I know Ms. Adcock, Director Adcock. I saw her a few months ago at an activity. She's encouraged me, but I need some encouragement and consideration for myself from the city. And if there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer. And I hope I said it where it's understood. I thank you so very much for consideration.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nelson.
Thank you.
I see 2 directors' hands that are up, Director Wyrick, and then we'll go to Director Wright.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. If we could get an update on the situation that she has just described, address and where we are with that condemnation, I would really like to see that.
Sure.
She has a compelling story, and so I'd like to know what stages we're in and that kind of thing.
May I add something? It's been a while since I've been working through this, but there's been things that happened that were beyond my control. I mean, really beyond my control. And I could list them, but if you believe, it's about 6 things, and many of them are going on. But one thing that really disabled me, I took the COVID vaccine, and it disabled me over 6 months. And I'm still having effects from it. But those things happen. Thank you.
This is, Mayor, members of the board, this is a very tough one for me. I love Ms. Nelson. We worked together a lot in the Pankey community. She came up to City Hall yesterday. I went out to the house yesterday. Allie, if you would pull up the picture. I met with our contracting staff, Director Howard, his team was out there. And what Ms. Nelson would like us to do is just take down the side of the house that is on the right side. And it's one house, it's on one slab, it has one address. And just the city's liability and, I wouldn't let our contractors go in there because I think it's not safe. So it is a tough one. I know Mr. Howard and his staff have been working with Ms. Nelson to try to get, there she has some belongings in there, but we have a contractor that he's agreed to delay for quite a period of time, but at this point, we just don't know how you take down half a house, and again, just the liability from the city as far as someone being able to go in there. That wall is going to come down, and the staff went in on the other side yesterday, and there's some concern about just some foundation issues even on the other side, because you see it's been exposed for quite a period of time.
Exposed the new, well, may I ask the question? The new side exposed in what way?
Again, the staff that went in the house felt like there was some, the floor was compromised significantly. But the bottom line is we've never taken down half a house. And again, it's on one slab, and how we would do that and try to keep the other part of it stable, which, I think the contractor would come back and say, well, he's just not going to participate in that.
Now, I would say, and I'll repeat, there were two contractors told me it was possible because it was an add-on and not a total house at one time, because it was an add-on. And I appreciate having more consideration from a person that's certified. And I did talk to two certified builders, and they told me that it was possible.
Yes, ma'am. Director Wright.
Thank you, Mayor Scott. I too had spoken with Ms. Nelson, and I did follow up with Mr. Howard in his housing department, and he assured me that they would do everything that they could do to try to salvage the situation. Ms. Nelson and I go back a long, long way. She was one of my first community resources when I came to Little Rock, and I moved into the John Barrow community. And I recall Ms. Nelson working with me on various committees. So this is a tough one, and I'm glad that you showed the picture, Mr. Moore, so that I could get a better perspective. I do have a housing background and a construction background. And just looking at the picture, I can't see how this could be saved. My question to Mr. Moore and Mr. Howard, if he's available, or if Mr. Moore can answer it, can this house be saved by renovation? Because Ms. Nelson, at her age, should qualify for our rehab program. And I was hoping that that would be a possible solution here, because I would not want to see her in her last years not be in an environment that she's comfortable in. I think we've got to be very sensitive here And I can just imagine how I would feel to know that my home is being basically taken down, and I spent the better part of my life there. So this is very heart-wrenching for me. So can this house, in the estimation of our staff, who I have confidence in Mr. Howard and his skill set, can this house be saved by renovation?
Mr. Howard and his staff were out there out there yesterday, and as I think the board knows, we try not to bring structures that have an opportunity to be rehabbed to this board. We don't want another weed lot. One of the things I told Ms. Nelson yesterday is that, and we've done this in the past where, because usually what we would do is we put a lien on this property or any property we demolish, but our housing staff can work with her through our senior housing program, through CDBG. I think it would take a significant amount of and I would be honest, I don't think even Mr. Howard and his staff, I mean, it'll take a structural engineer to come in there and look at that. And if the board wants to tell me to delay this and hire a structural engineer to come in and to give an independent assessment, I'm willing to do that. But I think it's going to take a significant amount of capital to rehab it, if it's rehabable.
Director Peck.
Thank you, Mayor. And hello, Ms. Nelson. It's nice to see you. And I have obviously been in the loop from the beginning on this because Pankey's near and dear to my heart and is right down the street from where I live. I have talked to Mr. Howard on multiple occasions and also Mr. Collins, as well as Ms. Nelson, about what we could possibly do. It was scheduled to be demolished a few weeks ago and we delayed it because part of her possessions were in the newer portion. And so we were able to do that for a while. And then at one point, she had her own contractor who was going to do the demolition, which would have saved her some money, right, Ms. Nelson?
Yes, and his dozer driver fell ill. That was his challenge.
And Ms. Nelson has had some health issues, which you alluded to, and hasn't lived. How long has it been since you've lived in this house, Ms. Nelson?
Well, I know it's been 2 years because when my husband became ill, we moved because he had had hip surgery and he'd have step down from one side of the house to the other and come up the hill. So we couldn't function there, and we just left.
So it has been on the radar for quite some time. Mayor Bruce, I don't know what the solution is. I agree with everything that Doris has said, and Ms. Nelson and I have become friends. I don't want her to be displaced. I don't know if we can save this home. I wish we could hear from Mr. Howard. I don't know if that would be appropriate, Bruce, or if what the next step is, but I would like to be as helpful as we possibly can because she's had some extenuating circumstances. I also understand the fact that this may not be physically possible to tear down, to demolish part of it. So Bruce, what is your advice?
We'll cancel the demolition contract and hire a structural engineer and ask them to submit a report on whether the house can be rehabbed and the potential cost.
Thank you. And I do know that small houses are popular now. So if I could have a 60 by 40, I'd be happy. I mean, it's a 640 square feet. That's fairly stable. Thank you.
So members of,
I think I think my hand was up, Mayor, and I was going to use Director Peck's questions as a segue, as a motion. And thank you, Bruce, for going ahead with that recommendation. I fully support that.
I think we actually need to have a motion.
I move that we hire structural engineers. I don't know if there's a time frame or time limit we're going to have to put on this, Bruce, to re-examine the demolition of this, but I had another question before we went to that motion, Mayor, if Bruce can so kindly answer this. When was this house demolished? When was it not? When was it condemned? When was it put on the demolition list?
It's been on there a while.
So is it safe to assume it was on there during the time we had the NSP1 and NSP2 money?
No, I wouldn't say it was that long ago, no.
It wasn't that long ago?
Yeah.
And Mr. Richards, I just spoke with the city attorney. What we'll do is not necessarily do a motion. We'll just go back with staff to start with the city manager, we'll work with staff to start the procurement process for the civil engineer. If it goes above a certain amount, it'll come back before the board for that concurrence to begin work. If it's below a certain amount per city attorney, we'll just go ahead and start the work on the civil engineering work. And so for the time being, it will we'll come back to the board on whatever the next steps are.
One last question, Mayor. Bruce, when did demolition begin? Do we know? I know it's difficult for you to answer these questions.
When it began, we hadn't begun it. The contractor, as Director Peck said, he's delayed it for quite some time so she could get her possessions out. And there'll be a penalty that we'll pay, but we'll figure that out with the contractor. But that's his equipment that you see out in the front yard.
Okay, thank you. That makes it clear.
Mr. Moore,
Yes, ma'am.
Parks has been working with Mr. Howard and his demolition contractors to try to get some houses that are adjacent to the ball fields at West Central taken down, and that has not happened. So rather than hold up this contractor, I was married to one, and I understand you need to get paid, and you can't get paid unless you do work. So there is work that this contractor can be assigned to. So if that's at all possible, let's do that so that he's not sitting there idle, because they have to bid jobs, and when they bid jobs, they need to get the job completed so they can get paid. So I'm very much sympathetic to that situation as well.
If I can ask Bruce, Bruce, this was on the demolition list and an ordinance has been passed, is that correct?
Correct. And what so we don't have to bring it back if the engineer, that's why I don't think we need any action. We'll hire an engineer and let them submit a report and then see where we are.
And the point I wanted to make is that the original ordinance was passed with an emergency clause, so you're given a little bit of leeway in an emergency situation, which this is.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll now go to Mr. Kobe Knight.
Hey, how y'all doing? My name is Kobe Knight. I'm the current assistant head coach of the Sunset Tigers and a resident of Zone 1. And as Ms. Ashley spoke earlier, I'm here to address some issues with the park, which I was at another board meeting earlier this year. And like Director Richardson spoke, we have Coach Ed Johnson over here, which is a member of the Black Hall of Fame, or the Arkansas Athletic Hall of Fame, several awards, as he noted. And you just named Keith Jackson. There were over 40 professional athletes that came from this program.
I'm sorry about those that I
Well,
left out.
we just ain't gonna hit on one.
No, I got you.
In 51 years, we've had over 40.
Yes, sir, I agree.
Am I correct, Ed?
Yep.
All right. So as you all know, y'all gave him a proclamation for Ed Johnson Day, which is this Saturday. We're gonna have news, media, all kind of things down there, just like last year when Sports Illustrated came down there. So when they come to this park, Leland Couch has been working hand in hand with us, and we would like to thank him. But when they show up at this park that's been running this historic program for 51 years, it's gonna look like trash. The playground has been there since 2001. There's walls flying all around it. The kids can't play on it. We have several kids from the program here today. And with these funds that are coming available, we would like for you to use some of these funds to help with this program and make this program of this man that you all love so much look like it's supposed to look. The parking lot been there my whole life. I don't think they passed it one time. I'm just being serious about these things. And like I say, that's all I came here to talk about. There are funds that are going to be available. You want to praise the man. You want to talk about all his accolades. In 51 years, name me another youth program that's in the inner city that's been running that long. Because I'll wait on you. You can pull your phones out and Google it. Independently, this man has been running this program out of his pocket for 51 years. Before he leaves, can we make this park look like something? That's all I have to say.
I thank you for that, man. I named Keith because he's the one I played against. He was the one that I played against the most, and he never accepted the defeats that he had when he played against me, even though he even went on and won a Super Bowl or two. So in case he's watching tonight, I mentioned his name, so hopefully it'll give him a chance to bring him down to earth and have some sense of reality. But the other thing that Coach Johnson has done, unbeknownst to a lot of folks, there are a lot of young black men who are free, never been in jail, drug-free, and alive today because of Coach Johnson.
Right, that's right.
A lot of marginalized black males that a lot of people have given up on. He reached out to them and saved them. A lot of them drug-free, crime-free, and they're doing well in our society and our community. So I'm not just talking about Keith. I'm proud of the other ones who are doing things to help give back to the community. And what Coach Johnson has instilled in a lot of them, there are a lot of young men that's going through this program that are actually running their own programs, coaching their own teams right now, doing what he's doing, giving back. So it's not just those who play football who went on like Keith did, but I think those who are positive, productive citizens in our community that don't show up on our radar screen unless they do something bad. Our news cameras don't show them unless they do something bad. They're here. We see them every day. Every day. He's done a tremendous job with these young men and the parents as well, involving them, having parent engagement, and working with the school systems as well. He's kind of provided, and we all have these catchphrases we keep throwing around lately, wraparound services. That man there provided all the wraparound services any of these young people could need.
Thank you so much, Director Richardson. I do want to take this time for members of the Southside Park and Sunset Tigers. First, I just want to share our appreciation again to Coach Johnson. We all know how great he is, as Mr. Knight has said, but the proof has to be, as Mr. Knight said, in the pudding, right? So one of the things that we've done as of last, I believe, in June, many members of the Sunset Tigers community wanted to have more lights, field lights, and we were able to get that done. In regards to allocation and funding, we know they're going through that procurement process for $138,000. That came from the American Rescue Plan Act. I do want to share with the community is that here in the next month or so, we'll be putting forward the next proposal for the second tranche. And so we've already allocated funds that, again, it has to be passed by the City Board of Directors. I want to be very clear. But within the proposal, there will be funds for additional, just like we were able to do the $138,000 for the Southside Park sport field lights. At the request of the Sunset Tigers and many folks within the community, we were able to get that done. We'll be able to include more funding for the parking structure, as Mr. Knight has shared, and other amenities. So I want to be very clear that we'll be coming back before the City Board with the second tranche or the second round of funding for the American Rescue Plan Act. You have my commitment that that will be a part of the proposal. I'm pretty certain that the members of the city board will vote for it, just like they voted for the sports fields light, as you shared. As we have money available, we're going to put towards that. That's the reason why we've done that. That's the reason why earlier today we did about $2 million in drainage improvements for the South End. And we know there's more work to be done. We're glad that because as you're right, things that haven't been done since 2001. Many of us just got here over the past 3 to 4 years, and we're putting the money where it needs to be, like we've done with the lights, and we'll do some more with the second round of funding here pretty soon. Just like the city board has allocated funds for Thrasher Boys Club to apply for those funds. I know you all are aware of that as well. So I want to make that commitment to you all today, that you know it will be included within the proposal to the city board to vote yes on. I don't see the city board saying no on that, just like they said yes to the sports field lights. So I just want to make sure you have that commitment publicly. We'll now go to Mr. Marion Humphrey Jr.
Good evening, Board of Directors, Mayor Scott, City Manager, City Attorney. I'm grateful to be here. I was asked to speak about my neighborhood that I grew up in. It's so fun to me, South End. I'm, a 30-plus year resident of this wonderful city. I love it. I still live right around the corner from my parents. But some of the greatest memories to me have been had in the South End area. And I'm grateful for the commitment that you just spoke of, and I'll be holding you to it, to make sure that those funds are to restore the beautiful places of South End, in particular Thrasher. I grew up going to Thrasher every summer after school. We even had a sleepover at Thrasher at one point. But my parents grew up in the segregated South, where they had no access to swimming pools. And so they never learned how to swim. And my mom, the first sport she put me in was swimming, because she wanted to make sure that her only child would not drown at any point in his life. So I was swimming at the age of 3. But Thrasher is so near and dear to me because my parents in there, people know that they're old, but they're older. My parents in their 50s started to learn how to swim at Thrasher Boys and Girls Club. And although my dad today said he's still working on it, he went there countless amount of hours. It is very important that we restore these opportunities in that part of town. And I'm so disgusted by the talk of violence constantly by people in politics and people around the city who have no commitment directly to it. But it is more important to have more programs than it is to have more police. It is very important that these individuals are able to maintain doing social activities that give them something to do and give them hope in this community. It's important that we have healthier food options in that area. I would love another grocery store over there. And it's very important that we have places for folks to communicate, to have conflict, and then to learn how to hash out that conflict in ways that are not violent, that are nonviolent, and that imbue a funness for one another at the end of it. So I'm grateful to be here to speak for South End. I will continue and maintain myself as a resident of Zone 1, hopefully until the end of my life. And I thank you so much for this time today to speak.
Thank you so much, Mr. Humphrey. We'll have now.
We're cousins, so my family is also grateful to be here.
All right. Miss Betty Ellis.
Good afternoon. I'm Betty Ellis. I reside at 3404 Wolf Street and it is right next to the park. We have been having problems of all kinds. I have been in this park 92 years, and some of the things still are not like they're supposed to do, not like they're supposed to be. Even within the park, they came out today. I guess they knew we were coming down, so they came and cut the grass outside of the park on 34th and Wolf, which most certainly has been nice, but by me being 92 years old, I thought it would be nicer, but it's not. It's still the same. We also have trouble with dogs. I called one day, and they sent the dog catcher out, but he went directly to the house that I was calling on and never came to my house. The next day I called, there's still a young man out there, he was about 2 feet tall, and I just told him, young man, go back home. I didn't want nobody to hurt you. So we never solved that problem. I want to know why can somebody go on your property? Nobody knows nothing. They send 50 people out there and all they leave me is a card. I live at 34th and Wolf, I own the block. Somebody came out there, I don't know who it is, and dug in the ground and put a big pipe. Nobody knows nothing. And to this day, nobody knows nothing. I would like to know how can they come on my property that I worked so hard for many, many years and not even give me a, we coming through. I don't know what the problem is, but something needs to be done. Also, whenever they have trucks and things running down the street, it takes them 3 or 4 days to fix the street up. But then if anything's happened to the Barton Coliseum, look like you drop everything. And you go run into the Barton Coliseum and we still got all this trash out here. Now I own 6 lots. And I was wondering, what can I do? Because when I call, I get an okay, we coming out. So I don't know whether it's a you know me, don't like me thing or what, but I would appreciate it if the board would give me some kind of consideration. Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Howard, and we'll do is we'll figure out in particular about whomever approached your home or came onto your property. We have your address and we'll follow up.
Please do it, and I appreciate you called me so that I can show you what I'm talking about, because they come out and look and hand me a card, and I don't want no card, I want my yard fixed, and I appreciate it, thank you.
Yes, ma'am, I'll come out this week. Mr. Malik Marshall.
Hey, my name is Malik Marshall. I'm the organizer for the South End of Arkansas Community Organizations. Before I begin, I want to say I appreciate your time today. I appreciate all the work y'all do for the city. I know that leading a city is not easy, and you have a multitude of opposing interests to consider. We're here today because our community needs to be made a priority. As I'm sure you know, this is a very different South End than the one my mom and her family grew up in. Closed businesses, gentrification, a lack of community programs, more violence. Of course, that blame doesn't all fall on you. Unfortunately, this is true of Black neighborhoods all across the country, all across the South. You know, we face food deserts, low wages, rising rents and mortgages, underfunded schools. These things weigh on our communities, they weigh on our people. People often feel abandoned, they feel that we've been forgotten about, and that those in power have no interest in helping us. Tonight, you've heard from representatives of the Sunset Tigers, arguably one of the most successful youth football programs in the country. That park, as he said, is in literal decay. If you haven't been down there, you need to. Their program's been running for 51 years. It is an extremely important program. You've heard, or you're going to hear from a representative of the Thrasher Boys and Girls Club Community Advisory Board, the club with the only Olympic-sized swimming pool in a Black neighborhood that would likely still be shut down if we hadn't gotten involved and made sure that it gotten back open. The whole neighborhood, the whole South End was raised in that club, but it needs more funding. Tonight, you're going to hear, or you already heard from Miss Betty, 92 years old, grew up with my grandpa. She was the first Black woman barber in the neighborhood, but y'all didn't know that. She's got just little issues that she calls about, and she feels like never get done. Go through all the proper channels. You're going to hear from Miss Moore, who, she's been trying to get this trash by her house picked up forever. And I ain't going to spoil it. I'll let her explain it. I'm not going to spoil on her presentation, but forever. And it's just little things like that, right? And she goes through the proper channels like y'all ask. Tonight you're also going to hear from someone from the SENG who worked tirelessly on the South End neighborhood action plan, which was presented to the board. And if you take a close look at that plan, take a very close look, and you compare it to the previous versions from 2004 and from the 90s, you will notice that in some places it looks very, very similar in a lot of places. And that's because we've been asking for the same things from this community for a very, very long time. I'm 25 years old. The first iteration of that plan was started before I was born. And, we're asking for a lot of the exact same stuff. That's a problem. It is often said that the arc of history is long, but it bends towards justice. For residents of the South End, it has not bent toward justice for over 50 years. Okay, it is about time we bend it back the other way, people. Okay, so anyway, I know the blame doesn't all fall on you, like I said, but right now you have an opportunity to right these wrongs. We need to invest in these neighborhoods, in our black neighborhoods, $18.8 million in federal funds and more in millage money. I will be voting for most of the provisions in the millage, and I hope to see it pass. But in return, I think I speak for everybody here when I say that we are expecting results. We want to see change in the South End. It's a beautiful neighborhood with a proud people who care very deeply about it. It is in an amazing location. It has multiple parks, and hopefully soon an Olympic-sized indoor swimming pool. The South End could be one of Little Rock's premier neighborhoods, but it starts with you all investing in it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Virgil Miller. Y'all have done a great job in the past year. I appreciate the work you've done so far in the South End. We're just here to remind you, you can always do more. Thank you.
Thank you, Malik. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. We'll keep going. I do want to, and we'll probably, I've been reminded by one of our city board members that Citizens Communication does have a 30-minute time limit. I'm going to try to stretch as much as possible. We'll come to Miss Leanna Hyde. I do want to make sure, and then Miss Jeffries. We'll keep going.
I apologize for that. He's right, Mayor. I did.
Good evening, everyone. Mayor Scott and the Board of Directors. My name is Leanna Hyde, and I'm here specifically to advocate for this South End community. And just to be clear, I live in Momale, but I hold this community near and dear to me because my grandparents lived there, passed away there. My aunt and uncle, great aunts and uncles lived there and passed away. But I'm specifically targeting the Thrasher Boys and Girls Club. And in all reality, it needs funding. I went to Thrasher as a kid, and I won't say how old I am, but I went there. My daughter learned how to swim there in the Olympic-sized swimming pool, and I'm telling you that this is a staple in the community, as well as Sunset. But it takes programs like Thrasher to keep our kids off the street. And they need this structured environment to grow into productive citizens. It's programs like the Boys and Girls Clubs that give these kids opportunities to have after-school tutoring programs available to them, feeding programs, which I would love to see implemented into this particular program. So it's a safe haven. And kids who are able to go and do activities, have cultural and educational experiences, grow into these productive citizens. They learn social skills, develop problem solving, and learn how to de-escalate, develop emotional intelligence. And that's something that is very, very needed in our community, in our Black community, as far as mental health is concerned. So again, I'm asking, my purpose here is to ask for the funding, and I'm so glad to hear the mayor said that, there is funding coming down the pipe for Thrasher, and if we don't do it, it'll be left to fall again. So with that, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hyde. We do appreciate the new business that you brought the right avenue. All right, we have Ms. Jeffries, and then we'll transition from Citizens Communication. We'll go with Director Phillips, who has his hand up. Ms. Jeffries.
Thank you, Mayor. To our mayor, to City Manager Bruce Moore, our Ward Director Miller, and other city board members, good evening. I am Ruby Jeffries, and I bring you greetings from the South End Community Neighborhood Association's community. Our community would like to inform you that we are in support of the special voting election that will be held on August 9th, which would extend the existing millage and issue bonds for citywide capital improvement. The South End community is looking forward to benefit from the special election because the millage and proposed bonds will provide funding for our streets, drainage, parks, and recreation and other areas within our community which we have prioritized in our 2021 Neighborhood Action Plan. Our community has been destitute for such a long time, and we are expecting great progress. We would like to congratulate our city leaders on the groundbreaking on the drainage repair project at 31 and Ringo this morning. I have fond memories of that area because I grew up and was raised in the St. Mark Baptist Church. It would flood in that area, and the back steps of our church was at the edge of that Swaggerty Creek, and a lot of times St. Mark would flood. Another fond memory that we have, the St. Mark Boy Scout Troop 467 was organized and chartered at that same church in 1963. I remember well because my father was a leader there with the Boy Scout troop, and I had 4 brothers that were Boy Scouts. In 2003, out of Troop 467, my son became an Eagle Scout. We are aware that there will be other funds available through the American Rescue Plan Act, and we intend to work very closely with our South End community, our ward director, the city board of directors, our city department heads to gain information and to learn the paths that we need to take to secure funds that are available to our community. We would also like to restore ways and means of utilizing the MLK Heritage Center for the citizens in our community rather than space for city offices. The city cannot be renewed without one of the oldest neighborhoods, which is the South End community. I have shown these books before. I will show them again today because in 1999 and 2004, the Planning and Development approved this plan. The City Board of Directors approved this plan. These plans in 1999 and 2004, when we worked on our 2021 plan, when we completed 22 years later, passed. The information was the same. Very little had been done in the South End community. We would like to see a change. There are monies that would become available. We want some of that money. And to say that you're going to spread the money equally, it hasn't been spread equally thus far. Give us a portion, build up the South End neighborhood. The South End neighborhood cannot grow unless the city officials and help with the South End. We need funding. We need monies. We need support. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jeffries. And we also appreciate all the work that you've done as it relates to the South End community. And thank you for also recognizing the $2 million that are starting work at Swaggerty Branch today. We do appreciate you. Director Phillips.
Hey, Mr. Mayor,
Thank you.
I appreciate all these people that spoke, but I got here 40 minutes early and turned in a card, and the clerk assured me that I'd be able to speak tonight.
Actually, I've recognized Director Phillips, as we shared earlier.
Yes, sir, I understand that, but I was here 40 minutes early. I appreciate these people. I filled out a card. I was the first one to fill one out. The clerk, I asked her about it. The clerk assured me, you can ask her, that you would let me speak tonight.
Again, as we've heard from some members of the board, we have a 30-minute limit.
Yes, sir. Well, my question is, if somebody gets here 40 minutes early and fills a card out, why wouldn't they be allowed to speak?
Again, if you look at the agenda.
I see the agenda.
In writing.
But if somebody gets here 40 minutes early.
You're going to have to let me finish completing.
Sure, go right ahead.
If you look at the agenda, and there's been members who have already expressed that we do have a 30-minute limit, which we do, in regards to this. We're abiding by that. We've exhausted that. Well, now we have citizens.
So when somebody gets here 40 minutes early and fills out a card to speak, that makes no bearing whatsoever.
Well,
you give that no weight.
I've addressed your concern. I'm now recognizing.
No, I don't think you have addressed it.
Well, I'm now going to City Director Phillips.
That's not right, Mayor, and you know it's not right.
Well, thank you so much. We can see you next week.
Oh, I'll be back next week.
All right, Mr. Phillips, will you carry on?
All right, I just want to, I want to thank the members of the South End community for coming and sharing their concerns. Like Director Richardson said, I grew up learning how to play basketball at Thrasher Boys Club. I'm not who I am without Thrasher, and I want y'all to know that y'all have my commitment as well in allocating funds for the South End community and Thrasher Boys Club. And some people mentioned the millage election. I want to reiterate that. If please go vote in favor of that. And then I'm asking you all, the same group of folks, come back to our board meeting. Let us know how you want us to spend that money. And then it's our job to do what you asked us to do. So please go vote in favor of those millage elections, and then come back, interact with us, hold us accountable so we can do what y'all put us in these seats to do. So thank y'all for coming out. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Director Wyrick.
Mayor, how many citizens communication cards do you have left?
4 or 5.
I'm disappointed that we can't hear everybody that has come to speak tonight, and I probably started some dialogue that ate into the 30 minutes, but I don't regret asking the questions about the condemned housing, because I think it was important that we did that. I would like to make a motion that we extend the citizens' communications for 15 more minutes. That should take care of the 4 cards that you have, 4 or 5.
There's a motion and a second.
I second that, Mayor.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it.
Would someone please go outside and tell the 2 gentlemen to come back in?
We'll do that.
Ashley, would you please go outside?
And members of the board, I want to make sure we're aware that this is not the first time this has happened, but we'll make sure we do that. We'll carry on with the meeting, and then if they'll come back, they'll come back. Madam Clerk, you'll read the grouped items. We don't, what's the last person's name? Because I don't have their name. What's their name? Ms. Barbara Moore.
Yes.
I've called Barbara Moore.
Good afternoon, good evening, rather. My name is Barbara Moore. I live at 30 New Horizon Lane in Little Rock, the south end part of Little Rock. I'm just going to be here for a minute. I want to talk to you all about a concern that we've had in that area where I live for well, ever since I've been there. I've been in Little Rock over 50 years, but this particular area, I've been there 13 years. And the street 29th and Sherman, there's a road there, and occasionally the city will come out and cut it, but they've never actually really cleaned it out the way it should be. There are trees there that are down, branches that are down, that have been down for so many years that they are gray now. They have cut part of the grass on each side, but they never cut it completely. And we've been trying to get that area cleaned out ever since I've been there. They'll come and cut along the side of the interstate, the grass there, and it looks worse after they've cut it because the debris that's in that grass, well, now is out all over everywhere, and it's just left there. So I would like, and I know that this is being addressed. I've talked with Mr. Miller about it, and I know he's doing something about it, because I've seen people coming down there, but when they come, they don't do anything. You can go down there now and you can see it, and they were down last week, they were down the week before, and nothing has changed. And we've been trying to get this done for ever since I've been in that area, and I've been there 13 years. So and once you get somebody, when you make that assignment for somebody to come down there and clean that up, somebody needs to check behind them and make sure that they've done it, because workers do come down there occasionally, but they don't do anything. So that's my concern, and it's been happening for so long, and it breeds rodents, and when rodents get cold, you know, just like us, we want to get warm. When it's hot, we want to get cool. So where are they going to go? They're going to try to come into our homes. So I would appreciate it if the city would get on this and stay on it until it is completed. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, we appreciate each of you all. Mr. Luke Scrable.
Thank you for allowing me to exercise my First Amendment rights. The last time I was here, I was a little bit agitated at you, Mayor, because, 2 months after you took office, I had a meeting with you in your office. I turned over about a 1/4 inch of paperwork that I had turned over to the Attorney General, who had turned over that to the Public Integrity Task Force. I was serious when I turned it over to you, and you had looked me in my eyes and you had told me that you would look into it. That was the last time I ever saw you, Mayor. When a grown man looks me in my eyes and lies to me, I don't appreciate that, number one, but I have now labeled you as an uber hypocrite. When I leave this podium, you've many times blessed me, Mr. Scrable. I considered that rude. It's disrespectful. This is your podium. This is your sandbox. Here you have the rules of decorum. It says the presiding officer shall determine if a violation has been occurred. You make the rules. I told you I didn't appreciate you blessing me up here being a hypocrite, and I'm a born-again Christian, but you proceeded doing it. You have to have a little respect for the public. We pay your salary. We enable you to have this job. Please be mindful of it. On September the 1st, 2019, at this podium, you let Don Jeffries have 8 minutes and 20 seconds to speak when it's supposed to be a 3-minute limit. That's a violation of my First Amendment and my 14th Amendment rights. You're not elected to break the law. You're elected to enforce the law. That's discrimination against the white voters and the white citizens. We need equal protection of the law at this podium, Mayor. You say that you're an associate pastor, but you don't say what church. I have no faith in what you say, Mayor. When you look me in the eyes and you lie to me, Mayor, that makes you a hypocrite in my eyes, and I don't appreciate you when you bless me when I walk away from this podium. So please, I'm asking you, don't do that.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Scrable. Mr. Jimmy Cavan.
Thanks for making the decision to let everybody speak. Yesterday, while I was talking with someone who's been in Little Rock City government for a long time, now this person could have left long ago and went to the private sector and made much more money, but he chose to be a public servant. Frustrated with the actions of the mayor and his staff, that person said, you know, if you don't want to be a public servant, then don't run for election. I couldn't agree more. Frank, taking Little Rock police officers off the street, having them as your personal attendants and chauffeurs at taxpayer costs of hundreds of thousands of dollars a year is not being a public servant. It's playing king. Violating the Arkansas Freedom of Information Act by not providing lawfully requested information about yourself to the citizens is not being a public servant. It's being a king. Paying for dinners for your acquaintances and friends with your city-issued credit card at taxpayer expense is not being a public servant. It's playing king. Taking unnecessary extravagant trips to Washington, D.C. with staff members Kendra Pruitt and former staff member Stephanie Jackson, such as a 3-day trip in September 2019 at the taxpayer cost of $7,055.56 is not being a public servant. It's playing king. You lying to the public by joyfully telling them that the city is safer now than it was this time last year when homicides are actually up over 35% is not being a public servant. It's playing king. Right now, the average citizen and family are struggling to buy gas. They're struggling to buy groceries. They're struggling to buy their children's shoes, all while you play king. The saddest and most heartbreaking thing, though, is people are dying daily in the city because instead of being a public servant, you're too busy playing king. That's something not only you need to stop and think about, but the staff members who have been covering for you. I'm going to add that on Friday, July 2nd, I sent a FOI request to Sarah Linehan for all the credit card statements of your city-issued credit card. She said her staff was going to be out of town and could I have a little time. So in writing, they put to me, they would have it to me by August 2nd. Today, they give me a notice that there's going to be another delay and it would be August 8th. Can you please explain what is so difficult to send me copies of your credit card statement and follow the law in the Arkansas Freedom of Information Act? Because I remind you, Arkansas Code 25-19-104 is a Class C misdemeanor to violate that law. So could you please answer the question why you do not want me to get the credit card statements?
Thank you, Mr. Cavan. Mr. Jeff Hood. Jeff Hood.
Good evening. My name is Reverend Dr. Jeff Hood. We've been here, as I addressed last time, we've been here for about a year. We were very excited to move to Little Rock. My wife is a professor at Euler. I am consulted on police brutality issues throughout the country. We were excited to hear that Little Rock has got its first black mayor. We were excited to hear that we've got a mayor that will march in the streets against police brutality and for Black lives. But a year later, we can't even march down the street. Crime is up. Homicides seem daily to be increasing. And Mr. Mayor, I'm looking at you. You don't have to look at me. We are your base. I can't imagine voting for Mr. Landers, no offense, but we are your base. We want you to succeed. But I am so tired of over and over again hearing these cruel comments of how these homicides are isolated incidences, or hearing how these domestic incidences are just another domestic incident. This type of language is cruel. This city is on track for 100 homicides this year. Mr. Mayor, I grew up on the south side of Atlanta. Mr. Mayor, 6 years ago, I presided over a rally that ended in the death of 5 Dallas police officers. I know what it looks like to deal with tragedy. I know what it looks like to be in cities that are difficult. And I'm asking you, I am begging you, please change your language. Change your language. Let us have the room to support you. I want you to succeed. But I don't want to hear again that this is an isolated incident. This is a domestic incident. I want to hear that the people who are killed in this city matter and that you have a plan to stop it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hood. Mr. Hood, if you don't mind, one of the things I do want to share with you, and I do appreciate your feedback. I want to make certain you know it's not lost on me. We've had 49 homicides to date. Last year, we had 64 homicides. In 2020, we had 55. In 2019, we had 43. Each homicide, I receive a phone call. Whether I'm in the pulpit, a podium, a platform, or even on the couch because it's 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm praying. And each time, it takes a piece of my heart. And so we are working collectively with the city board to not only focus on a dual approach of proactive policing and targeting patrols in regards to prevent violence from happening, but also we've been investing millions of dollars and will continue to invest millions of dollars in prevention, intervention, and treatment programming. We've started a Hope Council being led by City Director Richardson, who's been in a lot of different kind of activity to help advise us along with other community members of how we see hope, which is holistic outreach prevention in each and every neighborhood. Because you're right, whether it's domestic violence, which most of our violence is, or acquaintance violence, we have to continue to have more services. That's the reason why we're investing in mental health and social workers. We now have this so our officers aren't responding to issues that they don't need to because they're so complex. So I want you to know that every homicide hurts me. Every homicide hurts these members of the city board, and we're working together to address it. And we want you to know that, and I'm grateful for your feedback. Thank you so much. Members of the city board will now go to our group items. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read the group items for the first time.
An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid, to authorize the city manager to issue a sole source purchase order to J.A. Riggs in amount not to exceed $250,000 for an annual contract with Caterpillar Parts and Services for the Fleet Services Department and for the purposes, an ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas Revised Code Section 34-1 to 34-14 to amend the Little Rock Transportation Code to declare an emergency and for the purposes, first reading.
Do we suspend the rules and place on second reading?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it, second reading.
An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid, to authorize the city manager to issue a sole source purchase order to J.A. Riggs in amount not to exceed $250,000 for an annual contract for Caterpillar parts and service for the Fleet Services Department. An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas Revised Code, Section 34-1 to 34-14, to amend the Little Rock Transportation Code to declare an emergency. Second reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it.
An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid, to authorize the city manager to issue a sole source purchase order to J.A. Riggs in an amount not to exceed $250,000 for an annual contract for Caterpillar parts and service for the Fleet Services Department. An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas Revised Code, Section 34-1 to Section 34-14, to amend the Little Rock Transportation Code to declare an emergency. Third and final reading.
We've now had 3 readings. All those, Director Adcock, you have your hand up? You have your hand up, Director Adcock.
No, it doesn't show it.
Oh, okay, we'll take it down for you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. We also have an emergency clause for item number 5. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you read, please, well, actually, let me open the public hearing for item number 7. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read the item.
An ordinance to establish and lay off City of Little Rock property owners multipurpose improvement district number 2022-002, Gibraltar Heights, to declare an emergency and for the purposes. First reading.
We suspend the rules and place on second reading.
Second.
There's a motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Second reading.
An ordinance to establish and lay off City of Little Rock property owners multipurpose improvement district number 2022-002, to declare an emergency. Second reading.
We suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Second reading. Third
An
reading.
Third reading.
An ordinance to establish and lay off City of Little Rock property owners multipurpose improvement district number 2022-002, to declare an emergency. Third and final reading.
We've now had 3 readings. Well, actually, let me close the hearing. We've now had 3 readings. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Ayes have it.
Roll call.
Madam Clerk, a roll call for item number 7.
Director Wyrick? Yes. Director Campuris? Director Phillips? Yes. Director Adcock?
No.
Director Miller?
Yes.
Director Richardson?
Yes.
Director Webb?
Yes.
Director Peck?
Yes.
Director Wright?
Present.
Vice Mayor Hines?
Yes.
Director Wright, would you like to change your vote?
Present.
Be 7-4, 1 absent, 1 nay, and 1 present.
All right. There's also an emergency clause. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you don't mind reading item number 8.
An ordinance to establish and lay off the City of Little Rock property owners multipurpose improvement district number 2022-003, Parkland Heights, to declare an emergency and for the purposes. First reading.
We suspend the rules and place on second reading.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Second reading.
An ordinance to establish and lay off the City of Little Rock property owners multipurpose improvement district number 2022-003, to declare an emergency. Second reading.
We suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Third and final reading.
to establish and lay off the City of Little Rock Property Owners Multipurpose Improvement District number 2022-003 to declare an emergency, third and final reading.
Now have three readings. All those in favor, please close the hearing. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. We have an emergency clause. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read item number 9.
9 was deferred.
9 was deferred. I believe it was 10 deferred as well.
No, we've got 10 and 11 left.
All right, now open up a public hearing for item number 10. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read item number 10.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial development titled Hayes Properties Enterprises PCD located at 1417 South Park Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes, first reading.
We suspend the rules and place on second reading.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it, second reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial development titled Hayes Properties Enterprises PCD located at 1417 South Park Street, second reading.
We suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
Second.
There's a motion second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it, third reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned commercial district titled Hayes Properties Enterprises PCD located at 1417 South Park Street, third and final reading.
We'll now close the public hearing. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay.
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 Nays have it. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read item number 11.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned development commercial titled Cozy Spot Rentals Short-Term Rental PDC located at 319 North Summit Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes, first reading.
We suspend the rules and place on second reading.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it, second reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned development commercial titled Cozy Spot Rentals Short-Term Rental PDC located at 319 North Summit Street, second reading.
We suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it, third reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned development commercial titled Cozy Spots Rentals Short-Term Rental PDC located at 319 North Summit Street, third and final reading.
We have three readings. This hearing has been closed. All those in favor, please say aye. Hold on 1 second, everyone, before we complete the vote. Director Webb.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I apologize. I did have my hand up before you called, and I spoke to the neighborhood association today, and because of people being away, they were not able to have a meeting before tonight, but they're going to meet on Monday evening, and he asked me if I would just ask the board if we could wait 2 weeks to vote on this so the association could meet, and I did get an email, I don't know if other people did, from a neighbor opposing this. So I basically would like to move that we postpone this for 2 weeks.
I second that, Mayor. That's a motion.
I understand. I heard a motion, heard a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay.
Mayor.
Ayes have it. We'll defer it for 2 weeks.
Mayor.
Director Wright.
Mr. Carpenter looked kind of perturbed there for a second. I wanted to make sure that after we've held a public hearing on the matter, that we could go back and do this. Is that okay, Mr. Carpenter?
It is. I was dealing with the aspect of can you move to defer something once the voting has started, but my interpretation is that while a vote was called for, the mayor said that he needed to wait because Director Webb wished to be introduced, so there has not been a vote at this point. Therefore, the motion to defer for 2 weeks is appropriate.
Thank you.
And it was more like curious instead of.
Yeah, I saw that.
Thank Thank you so much. I have a motion to go into executive session.
Wait a minute, we've got item 2 that was held separate.
That's right.
Item 10?
Two.
2. Thank you for the reminder, Madam Clerk. If you'll read item number 2.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned development commercial titled Tisdale Property Self-Storage PDC located at 8500 West Markham Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes, first reading.
We suspend the rules and place on second reading.
Second.
There's a motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Second reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned development commercial titled Tisdale Property Self-Storage PDC located at 8500 West Markham Street, second reading.
We suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Third reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned development commercial titled Tisdale Property Self-Storage PDC located at 8500 West Markham Street, third and final reading.
Now I have 3 readings. We'll read from the agenda card. Mr. Olin Asbury.
Hi, thank you, Mayor. My name's Olin Asbury. This is an adaptive reuse of an existing office building. The property at 8500 West Markham is an existing 3-story office building near the corner of Rodney Parham and Markham. It's approximately 50 years old. It has 1 office tenant in it at this time, and they'll be vacated by the end of August. Mr. Tisdale is a self-storage owner-operator. He has placed the property under contract in order to get zoning to convert it to a 100% enclosed, climate-controlled self-storage. This is a 33,000 square foot, 3-story building. It will be completely enclosed. There will be no outside self-storage units. The existing lot will not change. The existing building will not change except for the interior structures. The parking lot will be fenced. There'll be access secured through electronic access to both the parking lot and to the building. And there will be an on-site residence so that there's a resident manager residing there. I think this is an excellent reuse of an existing property. The location is good. I understand we've had a letter or two from somebody in opposition to it, and I think, well, I have seen a letter, and it is from a competitor who doesn't want additional storage in the marketplace. I'd love to have questions if you have concerns. I really am having a hard time figuring out why it would be a problem, but I'd be open to any concerns or questions.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Asbury. Director Peck.
Actually, Joan, did you have your hand up first?
Yes, I have some questions. Mr. Asbury, I was told that this is going to have 147 parking lots for outside storage.
I've never counted outside parking spaces.
Okay, then it has multiple parking spaces for outside storage?
This is a 33,000 square foot office building with a parking lot associated with it.
Okay, I'm sorry. Is there going to be boats and other outside storage on this property?
I would expect that the outside parking will continue to be used for outside parking.
Okay.
What would be there, I have no idea what it would be.
But for storage, like, can I put my boat there? Can I put my RV there? Can I put?
I would expect so, yes.
Okay, so it would be rented just like the inside, but the outside would be rented for outside storage.
And continue to be used for
My
parking.
problem is you have people coming down off that hill and everything, and they're gonna be looking right down. You can put wrecked vehicles. We have several of these in Southwest Little Rock. People put wrecked vehicles, antique vehicles that haven't been brought up to date and everything, and it's a real eyesore. So when you tell me it's all enclosed and everything, you still have the parking lot that is going to be rented for outside storage.
Yes, and it would not be to the owner's best interest to put junk vehicles outside, because the attractiveness of this building for the conversion is its location and its proximity and its
May not
visibility.
be to some people. I have a 1980 Isuzu pickup. And if I was going to rent a space, I'd want to put my Isuzu pickup. And I can tell you that some of these other directors would not want to look at my Isuzu pickup every day.
Well, I can tell you that this owner would not want to look at that either.
Okay, thank you.
So an owner can say no when there's trashy stuff that's brought in.
Okay, thank you.
Is it my turn now? Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I think so. Then Vice Mayor Hines.
Yes? Okay, thank you. I don't have any specific questions. I do want to address the letter that we all received, as you referred to him as your competitor. He actually was approved to with a project just basically across the street. A couple of years ago, there had been some delays in his breaking ground due to COVID. His plan is to build a 3-story self-storage unit at 102 South Rodney Parham. I have a big problem with 2 self-storage units right across the street from each other, especially when you look at the number within a 2-mile radius. He goes on in the letter to quote the national average for self-storage, and if we had the project before us now, plus this project that's already been approved, we would double the national average. I'm also concerned about the boat and RV parking. This is in Ward 4 now. I believe, Doris, this used to be in yours, so I can't support this, considering the fact that we've already approved a self-storage unit basically right across the street. That's all I have.
If I could respond to that for the benefit of the others who have not yet made up their mind. My competitor in that letter says that the reason for you not to support it is because of the number of storage units in the Little Rock market. What he fails to mention is that he wants to build 120,000 square feet of storage, additional storage in the Little Rock market, and he's already been approved to do that. So for some reason, our conversion of an existing building for 33,000 square feet is going to make the market worse when the market is not bad at all. But his building of 120,000 square feet is acceptable.
Well, it was approved before yours.
It's been approved a long time. It has yet to be built. I just don't see why 120,000 is good, but 33 is not. He also mentioned the national average for self-storage and quotes the per capita square footage for Dallas and Nashville. Little Rock is not Nashville. Little Rock is not Dallas. The competitive units in this marketplace are near capacity. There is a market for more additional heated and cool storage. Therefore, that's why we're having a proposal. If there wasn't a market, we wouldn't be doing it. I have had other proposals for other properties in other markets, and without exception, generally my only opposition is competition that doesn't want us to come into the market. And this is not across the street. The unit that he has approval to build is on the old Mexican restaurant site next to Red Lobster on the other side of Rodney Parham and down a little bit. It's already been cleared. It's cleared probably 2 or 3 years ago. But I still believe we've got a good proposal for a good adaptive reuse or an existing building, and I'd appreciate a good vote.
Mayor, if I could get Mr. Collins in here, or if he's in here, I have some questions on the application.
He's gone.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll recite the record. I just wanted some independent verification. So this passed the Planning Commission 10-0, and staff recommends approval, correct, Bruce? That's what I'm reading on the record. Do we have any objectors at the Planning Commission hearing?
There was one objector at the Planning Commission. He was a shopping center owner across the street. And since the Planning Commission, he's made 3 offers to acquire the property from this buyer in order to do the same conversion that this buyer's doing.
Okay, thank you. And the reason I'm going down this path, and I've got many storage owners that are in my ward, and I am not anti-competitive, and we are going down a slippery slope here if we start deciding if somebody wants to repurpose a building for reuse, and I'm in a very competitive business. I can't keep my competitors from coming to the marketplace and trying to take my accounts. If we start down this road, then who's to say we need another Mexican food restaurant, another Chinese food restaurant, another hamburger place, another pizza place? And that's where we're headed to this deal. Nobody determines other than the independent business owner who has a business plan and has I'm pretty sure, and the reason I wanted Jamie here is that CUP was approved at least 3 or 4 years ago. It's been more than 2 or 3. And if I remember right, David Jones is who ran that. And I don't know if he sold the property, but I think he was the one who was going to build it and didn't do it. So we have, what's going to happen. I just think we're on a very slippery slope. I'm not going to be well liked by one of my constituents and good friends who owns many storage, and he heads up the self-storage. But I'm very scared that we're being anti-competitive. Somebody's got a business proposal, and the only complaint we've had is from a competitor because he hasn't gotten his out of the ground. I just think it's a slippery slope. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Mayor, I have my light on.
Director Adcock.
It's not because of the storage building, Director Hines. It's for the fact that this one has outside storage, and it will be people coming up and down Markham and up and down Rodney Parham that has to look at all this outside storage. It's not what's inside the building that I object to. It's what is outside, and in most of the cases that I've seen, is not controlled, and anything, and I love my Zuzu pickup. But I'm assured that most of you would not want to look at it every day going back and forth down Markham or going back and forth down Rodney Parham. And that's my objection, is the outside storage. I don't know if it's 147 parking places, that's what someone has told me, but it is a large parking lot around that building that will be full of other people's treasures. Thank you.
Director Adcock, I can appreciate that, because I'm looking at the application. There's going to be fencing and screening put up around this. Just about every self-storage place I know allows outdoor parking, whether it's for boats, motorhomes, or that type of stuff. So I get what you're saying, but I think the competitor across the street is going to have outdoor parking on his, as I went back and looked at his proposal. So, to say that it's okay across the street or slightly down the street, it's not okay here. I
don't think across the street has outside.
The fencing that's been proposed for this project was ornamental metal fencing. The site is fenced on 2 sides adjacent to residential by 6-foot wooden fencing. If you wanted it to be screened with 6-foot wooden fencing instead of ornamental iron fencing, that would not be a problem. And we wouldn't have to look at your Isuzu.
Director Phillips. Director Richardson.
Thank you, Mayor. And to the applicant, thank you for the presentation. I do have a question. I'm sympathetic to Director Hines' point of view from a competition standpoint, but I do get a lot of emails and calls from constituents saying that we keep getting the same things in Little Rock. So without giving us your showing your full hand, can you help us understand why this is needed in our city? What help our constituents understand like what the market needs as it relates to storage, because that's a question I get all the time, and I don't have an answer. I do feel like there's a lot of storage, but if the market needs it, then the market gets what it wants. So can you kind of give us a little context from that standpoint?
My business is management of self-storage centers. I manage 15 self-storage centers in 3 states. Within the Little Rock market, it's my understanding and calculation that all of our competitors are at least 90% occupied. You may have 1 or 2 that are 85%. In this business, 85% is full. The need for more self-storage is because the demand is there for more self-storage. The need for heated and cooled enclosed self-storage is because that is the smallest area that's being unserved right now. There's more demand for heated and cooled self-storage than there is for outside storage or any other storage. Even the properties that Ms. Adcock doesn't want to put her pickup truck at are uncharacteristically very full. Why is that? I can give you my opinion. My opinion is people have a lot of stuff that they don't want to get rid of. And our business is storing their stuff and protecting it. If the market were not there, this owner would not be getting ready to spend a couple of $1 million to repurpose this building. I mean, this is not a cheap thing to do. This is expensive. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of calculation. So I hope you understand that the reason we're doing this is to service the market that we see. It's not like Field of Dreams where if you build it, they will come. If the market's not there, they're not going to come. So we calculate the market before we do a location. And as to the proximity to other self-storage centers, I mean, McDonald's always wants to be next door to Burger King, and every bank wants to be next door to the other guy on the other corner. I mean, if you have a location for a self-storage, you're probably going to have another one in the area. A good example of that, Ms. Adcock, is Stagecoach Road. There are 5 storage centers on Stagecoach Road, and you can pretty well throw a rock and hit one from the other, and they're all full. So proximity to a competitor is an advantage. It's not a disadvantage.
That's all I had, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Richardson.
Mayor, I just want to dovetail Lance's questions. And Bruce, correct me, and so we all can know, correct me if I'm wrong. Did this not pass unanimously at the Planning Commission? Did I hear that correctly? It was unanimous? 10-0.
On the sheet.
And staff is recommending approval. Did I hear that correctly? The only person that we said that was there in opposition just so coincidentally happens to be a competitor. Was that correctly, or would you even know that? You don't know that, but we only had one objector. Okay, thank you.
Director Peck.
Thank you, and I'm sorry I'm speaking for the second time, because I understand exactly what you're saying, Vice Mayor Hines. With that being said, though, the person who sent us the letter in opposition, he's had this property with this intention. It was passed for quite some time. There have been delays because of COVID. Whatever it looks like in the Rodney Parham corridor, West Markham corridor, if it is approved, then we're going to have 461,000 square feet of storage space in a 2-mile radius. I'm like you, Antoine. Car washes, vape shops, self-storage. I mean, that seems like all we have. If there really is a need for it, well, yes. I'm not getting the feeling that the opposition letter is just because of the competition. Maybe it is, and I understand what you're saying, Lance, but it just seems excessive. And maybe not directly across the street, but certainly within very close proximity, and the fact that it too was approved, and it was approved a couple of years ago. I don't know, I just have a problem with it. That's all. Thank you.
There have been 2 other properties developed since that competitor's property was zoned. One is the property on Rodney Parham Road on top of the old Green Tree Nursery lot, just up the street. And it has been built, filled, and is full. The other is the modern storage facility on Autumn Road behind Barnes & Noble, which is approximately 1,000 units. It has been built and it's filled and it's almost full, all since this other property was zoned. I don't see that 33,000 square feet of storage in a market that needs it is going to have any negative bearing to a proposed 120,000 square foot space that could have been built anytime they wanted to in the last 3 or 4 years, and they elected not to do it. My expectation is 8500 West Markham will be converted and filled. Mr. Mizik's property down next to Red Lobster will be built one day and it will be filled. There's room for everybody in the marketplace.
Thank you so much. We have Mr. Michael Hall.
Excuse me. My name is Michael Hall. I represent the developer. I would like to correct that planning in this board made us put in our PUD that there would be no outside parking whatsoever in our development. We were denied that right. We purchased the property back in 2017. We got it through planning. We came into the market and we identified 3 properties, one in Little Rock, one in North Little Rock, one in Sherwood. We worked on them through planning one at a time. We've been under construction with Sherwood. It's due to open probably in the next month, and then we intend to move on to the next one. COVID has been a problem. I waited 6 weeks for a 40-amp breaker for an air conditioner. The things that slow you down are really quite amazing. But anyway, I'm not really here to bash storage or anything. Obviously, I like storage. I would counter that my storage opened up, and that was one of the reasons we went on to Sherwood first, is because we're for controlled growth. I didn't see that many units coming on to the market all at once if we built and they built. They were further ahead in the process than we were, so we pulled back. Right now, we're looking at the design of the building to phase it into 2 phases, because I don't think that the market will support 100,000 day one. So, that's our position on it. I'm available for questions. I don't think it's a good location, but that's personal for me as far as the comment about everybody wants to be near McDonald's or Wendy's. Reality of it is that the storage trade area is 2 to 3 miles. That's about as far as people go, and there's only so many households in this area. There's not new subdivisions being built. We bought it in the anticipation of the development of the university area, and so we're just kind of moving in that direction. I'm open to questions. Thank you.
Members of the board, we've heard from everyone. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay. Roll call.
Roll call.
Director Wyrick,
Wait.
Ayes have it, but also heard a roll call. Roll call.
Director Wyrick, Director Campuris, Director Phillips, Director Adcock,
No.
Director Miller,
No.
Director Richardson,
Yes.
Director Webb,
Yes.
Director Peck,
No.
Director Wright,
No.
Vice Mayor Hines.
Yes.
4 ayes, 5 nays, and 1 absence. So it
Fails. Sorry about that.
Mayor, I move till we go into executive session for appointments to.
Second.
For folks that may have saw the reason why it failed because it didn't get 6 votes. The motion is second. All those favor to go in executive session, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. We'll recess. will now come back before,
I can hear now, Mayor.
yes, ma'am.
I'm going to leave my hand up because I have something I want to ask, a question I want to ask after you make your announcements of the appointments.
Yes, ma'am. For Animal Service Advisory Board, for Ward 4, Megan Hurd, Ward 6, Jackie Fowler. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. For City Beautiful Commission, at-large Representative Steve Holmeyer and Michael Mezier. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Historic District Commission, Amber Hagan. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Little Rock Parks and Recreation Commission, James Firstel. All those in favor, please say aye. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Little Rock Water Reclamation Commission, Chris Marsh. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Little Rock Zoo Board of Governors, Jenny Blankenship. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. MacArthur Military History Museum Commission, James Leach. All those in favor, please say aye. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Oakland and Fraternal Historic Cemetery Park Board, Rhonda Stewart. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Racial and Cultural Diversity Commission, Ross Oying. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. River Market District Design Review Committee, James Sullivan. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Property Owner Representative Applicant, Lance Ivy. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Rock Region Metropolitan Transit Authority Board of Directors, Michael Mason. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Director Wright, you had a question or a comment?
Yes. Mayor, about 3 weeks ago, I requested a market analysis for a grocery store to address food deserts on the Barrel Corridor. And I asked that if we needed a resolution, and I spoke with Mr. Carpenter, and apparently that you vetoed that request or instructed him not to develop the resolution so that I could bring it forward for the board to vote on, since I couldn't get an answer as to a market analysis. Now, there's a grant opportunity that's coming up in September that we could actually go after to help address food deserts. And I just wanted to know where that process is. Why did you veto my request? Or instruct Mr. Carpenter not to draw up the resolution. I can draw it up myself, but I was trying to follow our protocols and
I don't know what you're talking. I have not vetoed that request.
Director Wright, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. The market analysis, the aggressive begging ordinance, and the homelessness situation were all to be part of as I understood it, a policy review at the end of an agenda meeting last week. What the mayor indicated is that was not going to go forward, and that he didn't veto a resolution to do a market analysis. What he said is we will come back on those issues at a different time. And so I got enough to work on. I've stopped working on that.
So do I write up my own resolution and bring it forward to get
I can do a resolution for you to do.
Board of Directors to approve for the Barrel Road corridor for the analysis to determine if we can support a grocery store. Do I need to do that?
No, I'll prepare that resolution for you.
Mayor Scott, will you support that?
Well, I'll support what, Director? Right.
The market analysis request. We were told that it'd be about $4,500 for that. Director Webb working on that, and one of the things that we discovered was that a market analysis has to be done in order to go after some of the grants that the grant administration staff shared with she and I when we met with them.
Director Wright, as I believe the city attorney has shared, the board, we shared that we would come back before the board on a myriad of those issues that are all interconnected with one another in a policy discussion. You as a board member can make whatever kind of resolution, but for $4,500, I don't know if that's a good use of the city attorney's time. We can look into that market analysis from an administration standpoint. That's not the issue. The issue is talking through, it's not just your market analysis on the John Barrow. We have several food deserts, and so we wanted to tackle that as a board because the board requested input on food deserts because it's more than just John Barrow. It's John Barrow, it's the 12th Street corridor. And so if we're going to do a market analysis, we need to do a comprehensive market analysis for the entire city with its many food deserts.
Well, Mayor, my understanding was from the communication that I received was that each market analysis has to be independent of the other. You can't just do a market analysis, a blanket market analysis for the city. It has to be for specific areas. So I recall that Director Miller asked that 12th Street be included with this one, and that's when the information was provided that it would have to be individual studies. Now, if I'm recollecting that wrong,
yes,
then I apologize for that. But I just feel that you had told me you would get back with me, and you didn't.
Well, the reason I shared, as Director Wright, as I shared last week, where we're going to have a comprehensive meeting, we can work on the market analysis we feel is prudent, that we can hire someone to do a market analysis for the entire city that's still independent. There are consultants that can do more than one thing at one time. And so we don't have several different market analysis. We hear you. As we shared, we're going to work towards that, but we also want to have a board conversation and not a John Barrow conversation. We have to have a John Barrow, a 12th Street, a East End conversation in certain areas of Southwest Little Rock as well that have food deserts, not just one area. We got to look at the entire city.
And Mayor, I don't have a problem with that, and I don't want you to feel or project out to the public that I'm just focused on Barrow.
That's not what I said.
Yes, you did. We specifically talked about a market analysis that
Director Wright, that's not what I said. That's
well, Mayor,
not what
I
I
apologize
said.
if that's not what you said. I'm just saying that while you're putting together or whatever your policy discussion is, we're going to miss a grant opportunity that's coming up in September. And I was just concerned about that. However, you're piloting this ship. So I guess my input doesn't count or my requests don't count. So I'll let my constituents know that when they won't ask me, why can't we move forward with some things out here? But you can make promises to other constituents that come down to the board and make requests. But from a board member, I get ignored. I don't understand that as an elected official that's elected by my constituents to bring forward their needs. So I would appreciate that respect going forward for my input and my request that they receive due consideration. I'd appreciate that.
And Director Wright, as I shared just previously, we're going to do a market analysis for John Barrow, for your residents. We're going to do a market analysis for the 12th Street corridor for City Director Kathy Webb and City Director Ken Richardson's residents. We're going to do a market analysis for the East End for City Director Virgil Miller's residents. We're going to do a market analysis for Southwest Little Rock for City Director BJ Warwick, who are all of which are south of 630, east of 530 with the multitude. And so we will do one for John Barrow. We're just trying to get it together in unison as a board and have a committee. That you have my commitment. That will be a part of it.
I appreciate that commitment. I can move forward with that. And I will let my constituents know because they're asking me questions and I'm letting them know, well, I can bring it forward. But if Mayor Scott instructs the staff not to do it, it's not going to get done. And I'm not a part of City Hall discussions, so I don't know what you all discuss. I just know that the request that I made has never moved forward.
If I can make one thing clear, the mayor never said to me, do not write a resolution for Director Wright. What I understood is that the discussion items were not going to have been last Tuesday and that they would be at a different time. And I'm the one that at that point assumed, okay, well then we don't need to get a resolution. We were working for an ordinance for Director Adcock at the time also, and I stopped working on those. The mayor never said to me, do not do this for Director Wright. And so that's what I took. And I apologize for that.
I appreciate you for clarifying that, Mr. Carpenter, and perhaps now we can move forward. I just felt like I was being ignored, and I have a base and constituents too that I respond to, and they're asking me questions. And what are you doing? How are we going to address this? Well, I can't get an answer when I pose a question at the board meetings, when you tell me that we'll get back with you on that. Nobody ever does. And then I request a resolution. Okay, can we move it forward in this way? Then nothing happens. Now, I can write my own resolution. I don't have a problem with that. You know I can. But I was trying to follow the protocols. But as I said, moving forward, I would like to be given the respect due my position so that when I do make a request that I at least get some type of feedback from someone.
I will do that, and also I did do some work on this, so I'll get something to you tomorrow afternoon.
No, you don't have to. The mayor has said that he's going to come forward with a policy discussion. I'll just accept the fact that we will not be able to meet this application that's coming up in September for the federal dollars to address food deserts.
Mayor, can I chime in real briefly? I think when this conversation came up before, I think we need to have a clear definition of what is a food desert. 12th Street was a food desert even when that grocery store was open, if you had knowledge of what defines a food desert. And I think Director Webb, when I raised that point, said they even have food swamps, food apartheid. I mean, you got to have a clear understanding of what a food desert is, because that 12th Street was a food desert when that Harvest Food was still open. People who had alternatives did not shop there based on the definition of what we're talking about food deserts are, and what makes a food desert, and what defines a food desert. If you have a clear understanding of it, then I think that can kind of help us move forward in a more comprehensive way, because you can go from, if they would close this Kroger's on Colonel Glenn, you go from Roosevelt all the way down from Main Street and all the way to that I don't know the name of the other grocery store on Colonel Glenn that's next to Kroger's. I mean, you just to kind of look at that whole area. So we're not talking about just particular parts. We're talking about a more comprehensive approach at addressing multiple wards if we want to move forward in the way I think to address the concerns of all of our constituents as it relates to food deserts or food swamps or food insecurities or financial deserts. So we got these catchphrases we keep throwing around, and we need to have a full, clear understanding of what it is that these things mean in order to move forward, in my opinion.
And Director Richardson, thank you for that clarification. And that's one of the things that a market analysis would tell us. And as you say, these catchphrases, these are federal government terminologies that I'm using. And I was told by federal officials that this area that I'm talking about is considered a food desert. But to your point, the comprehensive way would be for a market analysis, which would tell us where the food deserts actually exist, would the area support a grocery store, what size grocery store it would support, and so forth and so on. We can't get answers to those questions if we don't have a professional to conduct the actual study. So that's where I was going. But I do appreciate your chiming in and saying we do need to understand where the food deserts are.
Mayor, if I can, I'll make a
Director
motion.
Phillips.
Make a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Meeting adjourned.